Okay. Well, let me not die first. Okay. All right, welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I just tripped on the card. We are so grateful and excited to have Luis and Janet here with us. I think most of you met them earlier on during the first couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So they're going to be talking about grad school funding, which is super important because I think a lot of us worry about how we're going to be able to pay off student loans and also live a comfortable life. So let's welcome them.
Hi again, everyone.
How's everybody doing in this heat? So hopefully you guys remember us, right? I see a lot of familiar faces again. You seem more than familiar. I've seen you before, huh?
Yeah.
Nancy, that's right.
You remember faces very well.
Yeah, very, very well. So after this presentation, if I see you on campus, probably remember you. So say hi. Well, some people just avoid me because they're like, yeah, he probably, I'm thinking that they're thinking like, oh, he probably won't remember me, but I remember. So sometimes I'll be like, hey, all surprised. All right, so let's get started on funding. And what are we covering? Just funding. So we've covered this last time, OGS, right? The hours. You guys are already familiar with the types of resources that we have for you guys. So this is the meat right here for this presentation is the financial aid, satisfactory academic performance, which is very, very important for financial aid, and assistantships and resources. So financial aid, at this point, most of you, hopefully all of you, did apply for FAFSA, right? Yeah, everyone did FAFSA or the California Dreamers Act. All right, because that should have been done by March 2nd. So, some differences between undergrad and grad school. Basically, there's not that much funding anymore. Unfortunately, that's summarizing this slide. Basically, there's not a lot of funding anymore. However, for those that are going, I think everyone's going to a state school, right? Even if it's not Fullerton, there is a state university grant. And again, by now, I think most of you, if you've received it, already know that you're receiving it. So I'll cover that in a little bit. But the other differences are that as a grad student, you can work and get paid for your work with different assistantships. So just look at that over there. It's a little dark. There's graduate assistantships. Those can, your responsibilities can vary. The positions can vary by departments on campus or are always looking sometimes for graduate assistants, sending emails, administrative work. It can vary greatly. There are fellowships. Those are, we'll explain about some scholarships and other fellowships. Those are just money. You may have to apply, you might have to submit an application, be awarded a fellowship, but it's money directed at something. So you have to complete something. They're asking something of you for that money. There's teaching assistantships, and those are more for fields like math, other fields like or education that for students that are in their career trajectory are looking to teach one day. So that would be beneficial for them because you're getting experience now as a graduate student, right? Sometimes you could teach a very low level undergrad course. So I've seen that before. And then research assistantships, those are more common with the sciences like biology and chemistry. You're assisting in a lab or assisting a professor with his or her research. So those are the kind of things that you can do for money, basically, right? You're being paid for your work. Let's see. So that's just some technical stuff. The code for FAFSA for CSUF. If you are, there we go, I can explain it. The deadline is March 2nd. You have to do it every year. So not just because you've done it once, you're going to get every year. So you have to do it every single year. Meet the deadline of March 2nd. That's a priority deadline. That'll give you the best chance at receiving the state university grant that I mentioned, and I will go over. So AB 540. So Those that are completing the California Dream Act must classify as AB 540. Those students are, undocumented, but they've done some school here in California. Okay, so those are some of the kind of characteristics of students that meet AB 540. If you guys need to talk more about this, if you're interested in this and want to set up an appointment, that's what I would recommend instead of me kind of going through this here. So the State University Grant, what is it? It's money for your tuition. It pays your tuition, right? The only thing that you will have to pay is the student fees, because that's not included. All right, the student fees are like $540, I think. Probably like 1,000 now. Huh? It goes up every year. Somewhere around there, right? Don't quote me on that. So that's the only thing you're stuck paying for. The State University Grant covers your tuition. And again, if you're AB 540 and you apply for the California Dream Act, you are eligible to receive this as well. And your eligibility is determined by your FAFSA or the Dream Act, right? So this is, you can see it as an award. This is a grant for students that have some type of financial need, okay? But if you don't receive it, it might have been just because you have a really, really good job or you make good money doing something, right? Because now as a grad student, the only income that's being considered is your own, right? When you go and you do your FAFSA, once you put that you're a grad student, you're automatically independent, right? You're no longer dependent on your parents, even if you're still living at home, even if you're still eating their food, you're still considered independent, right? And it does cover, again, you have to apply for FAFSA every year so that you can be eligible, but it does cover 125% of your program units. It's more than 100% because some of you might have to do some prereqs, right? So that's why it's more than 100%. It's a little weird sometimes. Loans. So besides the State University Grant and scholarships, another way to fund your program are loans, right? So these are the most current interest rate. Federal purchase loan, that is a federal loan, like it states, obviously, right? That one is awarded to students that have that are considered, just like the State University Grant, that are considered low income, right? So these get awarded based on that. That's why it's the lowest interest rate. The other two, you look at the interest rates there, you can qualify even if you make good money or anything like that. Anyone can qualify for those. You still, however, will need to fill out a FAFSA, right? And there's other things too that you need to do, like the entrance counseling and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have done it. If you received a loan in undergrad, you guys have done this. Right? So, going hand in hand with financial aid, satisfactory academic performance, often called SAP, the acronym SAP, here's SAP, this is what we're talking about. And this is very, very crucial for your financial aid because this is your academic progress towards your degree, right? And you're supposed to keep good academic progress towards your degree to continue receiving financial aid. And you have to meet that through these three criteria. So minimum GPA, minimum pace, maximum time frame. So minimum GPA for grad students is now a 3.0. Undergrad, it was a 2.0, right? So now it's a 3.0. So be very, very aware of that. It can, it can get very easily, how could I say it? You can slightly go under it very easily is what I'm trying to say, right? So even myself, when I was a grad student, I think I was on academic probation with a 297 or something like that. Because sometimes, life happens. If you get a C in a class, then you have to offset it with an A in another class for you to stay at that 3.0. So, so sometimes you thought you were going to get an A in a class, and then you got a B. So be very, very aware of that. And if you fall on academic probation, you shouldn't panic. It happens, it's common, right? But you get 2 semesters to get out of it, 2 semesters to increase your GPA to a 3.0 or higher, right? The minimum pace, so every semester you have to complete 70% of the units that you enroll in, all right? So that means, again, you have to pass those classes that you enroll in, and you can't really, again, if you're getting financial aid, you can't really just withdraw, right? Because withdrawing, especially as a graduate student, withdrawing from a class can easily put you under that 70%. So that's a percentage of units that you said you were going to take, right, during the semester, but then something happened, and then maybe you pulled out of 1 class or maybe 2 classes, right? That's what that percentage is calculating. So be very, very careful with that. If you do ever find yourself kind of in a rough situation, something's going on at home, right? Sometimes we are the ones providing the income at home, right? Sometimes we are the ones taking care of our parents. So if something ever happens, feel free to come to our office and discuss it, right? We can develop a plan. We can see, oh, okay, that's going to affect you this way. Oh, no, it won't affect you. You can go ahead and do that. And even, sometimes, like, we have an evaluator at Office Grad Studies. Her name is Lynn Wincher. Very, very nice lady. She sometimes has some ideas or some ways of kind of helping students that they were never aware of, okay? So don't ever feel like you don't have support, because we're definitely here for our students. Maximum time frame. So every program has, a certain set of units that you have to complete to be awarded your degree, right? Usually like 60 or something like that, right, Jeanette?
30, 60.
60 is one program that's 3 years, counseling, right?
Counseling.
I think you guys are up there. So there's a specific time frame that you guys have to complete that, right? There's a specific time frame. If for some reason you're taking longer than that time frame, then you're going to be ineligible for financial aid. Is basically what that's saying. Okay, so again, sometimes things might happen. Some students go on leave of absence and take a semester off, 2 semesters off. So just be very, very vigilant of that time frame that you have. Okay? Because also, most programs that equals to 5 years. All right, 5 years you have to complete your degree. But also there's, again, some things that we don't know as students coming in. You could petition for an extra, is it 2 years, Jeanette? 2 years, so that makes it 7 years. Okay, so these are the kind of things that I'm saying that sometimes students are not aware of, so that, whenever you have a question or anything like that, definitely come in and see one of us. We can go over that with you. But yeah, and after 5 years, some of your classes start not counting anymore. So you get into all kinds of, little issues like that. So definitely come and see us. Don't want to fill your head with all that negativity right now because you're really studying. All right, but it's very important for your financial aid. So if you guys, I know for some of us, if we don't get that money, you can't come to school, right? So it's very, very important. So if you miss, one of those criterias, you're gonna get, your SAP's gonna get terminated, right? You might get a letter saying that you didn't meet it because, either 1 criteria or 2 criteria, and therefore you can appeal that. One of the other things that students sometimes are not aware of, right? You can appeal that and say, well, this was going on in my life, right? This is why I had to withdraw from that course, and they could grant you financial aid for 1 more semester if you didn't meet the SAP requirements. Right? For you, hopefully, to get back on track. That 1 semester happened to me. Okay, so just be aware of that. Then once you do need a personal statement for that, and you need to fill out an application and submit it. And then once, if your appeal gets approved, that you're, and then the next semester you get back on track, then your SAP just kind of automatically goes back into good standing. However, for the unit cap, there's no automatic qualification. That's the one for the time frame, right? And the appeal process, again, is the same way. Like I said, usually it's 5 years. You can appeal it for 2 more years if you need that time to finish your degree. So once, well, this is kind of what I was talking about. Once your appeal is approved, your financial aid will be reinstated within 3 to 4 weeks. However, you run into another issue sometimes with the minimum GPA. Like I said, if you don't meet that 3.0, you do fall under academic probation, right? So just because your SAP appeal was approved doesn't mean that you're no longer in academic probation, right? That just means that they're giving you another semester with funding. Your academic probation is separate. That's handled through us. Okay, well, this is handled through financial aid. So that's just what this slide is telling you. So for the unit cap or both the other SAT termination, those appeal, it's just very important to note that once you've appealed once and maybe you got it approved, usually your second one won't. Right? Usually it's just you get that one chance. Hopefully you get back on track with that one chance for SAT. Don't confuse it with academic probation, right? For academic probation, you guys have 2 semesters to get out of it. So 2 semesters to get to a 3.0 or higher. After that, then you're facing termination program. Okay? So here are some resources for SAP. Like I said, financial aid is the one that takes care of that or in-houses that. There's an policy and appeal forms there, but like I said, it's a little bit early for you guys. And again, this is not something that you guys should have to tackle on your own, right? You guys have help. Come in, we can help you with that and answer any questions you guys might have. All right, how you guys get to see John that?
All right, so I'm going to be going over what Luis was describing earlier, some of our scholarships and some of the grad assistantships that we have here at Cal State Fullerton. And we also have a slide for those who are doing outside of Cal State Fullerton as well. So in terms of scholarships, Cal State Fullerton will actually up to like $2 million go out in scholarships and awards to our students. So there's definitely funding there, especially for grad students. I'm going to go over specific ones that come out of the Office of Grad Studies and from SOAR. I don't know if anyone has already applied to them. You could have applied even prior to your program. But if you haven't, then you still have a chance. So in terms of, there are some different terms you'll see. Some of them can be used interchangeably. So sometimes you'll see grants and scholarships used the same way, but technically there's some differences with them. With scholarships, those tend to be more merit-based. Not that they can't be need-based. Well, a lot of times for scholarships, you have to apply, you have to have some kind of requirements. Like you need to have a certain GPA, you need to have some kind of ability or something, like they're looking for something, right? So scholarships tend to be more merit-based, but they can also be with need, depending on your financial need. Grants, like Lisa was saying earlier, are state university grants, goes based on your FAFSA. So whatever it is you're making as an independent, that's based on need, right? So if you're low income, then you're likely to get a grant. Fellowships, which we do have here, but you see it a lot in post or like in doctorate programs, is you're getting money to do some kind of work for them. So a lot of times you'll get some kind of funding if you teach or something like that. Fellowships sometimes, especially in doctoral programs, they will pay your tuition and they can give you a stipend. So you see those a lot with doctoral programs, but I'll talk a little bit about one of our programs that also kind of follows under this fellowship. So this kind of, the last one just kind of reviews that it not only goes based on merit, but also on other factors such as need. So the Giles T. Brown, like this is a travel grant, so this is through the Office of Grad Studies. Has anyone, like in their undergrad, you guys ever do conferences? Go to a conference, share about research? But as a grad student, sometimes you might be asked, or it's a good opportunity for you to go to conferences. I know you're all in kind of counseling social work, so there's definitely conferences out there. And so this grant will help fund your travel to those conferences, but of course you have to be presenting at them. So whether it's presenting a poster, some kind of lecture, or some kind of talk, they can help fund your registration fees. They can help fund the travel to that conference. The dollar amount can range, so depending on how much you need. If you're going to a conference here in California, you might not need as much money compared to going to a conference in New York, right? So you can apply for different amounts between $200 to $1,000. They take applications about 4 times a year. I believe it's twice every semester, unless that's changed.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you a little bit. 4 cycles per year, you can get them all 4 times.
If you're presenting that many.
All those 4 times, but that's kind of a lot. You just kind of have to find the application deadline that aligns with that conference.
A lot of these kind of change throughout the year, so we always say to look for the Office of Grad Studies. We'll
website,
update it.
To the website, because I think they're lowering the amount this year a little bit. I think it's going to be up to like 6, 8, something like that. And then there was a group last year. There was your receipts last year that got together. I don't know if it was counseling or social work. Yeah, and they actually went together. I think it was 3 or 4 students, and they got approved and going out for them.
A lot of these grants and scholarships that we'll talk about, again, the date might vary, and there are some changes happening to them in this upcoming year. So we definitely want to make sure you guys know to follow up with the website or the Office of Grad Studies to see about those changes. For example, right now, we're not so sure when the deadlines are, but just we'll keep an eye out for those.
And follow the social media. Following the social media after that, didn't know one.
We'll post stuff on social media to take a look if you're interested in some of the grants.
It's just Facebook, so I'll give you that. I'm not using it, but that's what we use.
So Grad Equity and the scholarship after this, the Elevar Scholars Program, these are going through some changes. They might be kind of combined in the upcoming year, but we still want to give you kind of an idea of what they look like. So Grad Equity has been,
Those two are becoming
They're becoming one. They're merging, all right? So they're merging for this upcoming year. Again, the date for that, it's usually around April, May that the deadline is for this grant, scholarship. We're looking to have it be still the 1,000 for fall, 1,000 for spring, if you are accepted as a scholar. So the name will be the Elevar Scholars Program, but it will be funded by the Grad Equity grant. So you can still get the award could be up to $2,000. The application requirements are changing a little bit, but we're looking for, of course,
getting more relaxed.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not as strict as it was before, where you have to be a grad student, of course, you're at Cal State Fullerton. I think it's still gonna be based on me. They're looking to see if you're, do you financially need this, right? We're trying to lessen that burden, that financial burden for you guys. So we see for need, and we see, I think one of the requirements is still that you're looking into
for
some kind of
academic promise.
Yeah.
So for those students that in their personal statement do mention that, this is not the last stop. We want to continue on to after this program. Sometimes that gives you like bonus points, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. One of the good things you can write on your personal statement is if you're looking to go into some kind of doctoral program, some kind of program after this, or if you're looking to be a faculty member. So if you're looking to be part of that pool of faculty, that's something else you can include in that application. So they typically, it's an application, personal statement, and then they do letters of recommendation. There's going to be one letter of rec from preferably some kind of faculty member.
Usually faculty, that letter kind of plays more just because it's faculty, right? But if those are by next year, I would think you should have a relationship with your professors. Make it a point to, because again, to apply to these scholarships and grants and fellowships and all that stuff, they're all going to require a letter of rec, at least one. So you should have that relationship with your faculty, and it shouldn't just be superficial, right? Of course, you have to kind of get along with him or her and kind of connect, right, to be able to open up, but you don't understand how much weight that puts on the letter of rec when that professor knows you, right, a little deeper, right, a little bit more than just kind of high by. And we see that when we review these applications, we can tell, The same thing with your personal statement. Like Jeanette said, we're looking at financial need. We're looking on to see if you're trying to continue your education, right? And we can see when a student writes it in there just to meet the requirement, right? Or if it's actually genuine, right? If the student is really talking about, this happened in my life, and now I'm focusing on this to do research on that, so I can help you with, X and Y, something like that. So So if you're genuinely looking, to continue your education, then go for it, right? Write it in your personal statement. If you faced some issues in the past, and you do have a financial need, right? Like I said earlier, if you're taking care of your parents, they're dependent on your income. If you have children, they're dependent on your income. Definitely write that for this scholarship.
Yeah, specifically for this one, that is really important because, like we were saying, we have reviewed past cohorts, right? And the thing that kind of differentiated those who got the award versus those who didn't were those who talked about their obstacles that they've overcome, the resiliency that they've shown and have gone to grad school because of. So that definitely can make the difference on whether you get some of these grants. So the California Pre-Doctoral Program. So this one, if you get this award, you're called Sally Casanova Scholar. So this one, the dollar amount can vary a little bit depending on what you're doing. So they're looking again to kind of diversify the faculty pool at universities. So they're looking a lot to see, okay, we need to bring more minority students or underrepresented students. So they're definitely trying to help you in any way to get to that next step. So some of our past students have gone to do like summer internships at different universities. We're not late. I really want to go
went
Harvard
to Harvard, and Angela went to UCLA. And Angela is currently in her PhD program at UCLA, which started right after she did the summer internship. It worked out really nice.
So she was able to fund that internship or that summer internship as a scholar.
The internship is not included in that, so you can get those $3,000, and then your summer internship can still be funded. And what that means is that basically, like I said, one of the students traveled to Harvard and spent maybe, I think, close to a month there, and everything was paid for, right? So that's not included in those $2,000. Jeanette's going to go over what these $3,000 can be used for.
Yeah, it could definitely, like it says here, it could be used to travel there. So, but Ellie had to get to Harvard somehow. So she
for first visit, yeah.
Yeah, so they help fund that. You can, for application fees, that can be, some of that money can go towards that. Testing, if you have to take the GRE for your next step into your next program, they have that. So those are some of the things that you could do. Again, that requires a personal statement, some kind of action plan on what you plan to use this for, right? And then a faculty sponsor. So again, another letter of rec. So like we were saying, making that connection with that professor is going to be really helpful if you're looking to get funded. Deadline for that is usually around mid-February. So again, keep an eye out around that time, or even prior to that, so you have time to do your application. But that's around the time the deadline is.
Sorry. Just to add a little bit, this is CSU-wide. So it's CSU-wide. All CSUs, all the students, they're competing against each other. So like Jeanette said, if you get this, you're considered a Sally Casanova Scholar, which kind of, has a very, very, how would I put it? It just carries some weight. Yeah. It's a prestigious scholarship. So it carries some weight. When you mentioned that you were a Sally Casanova Scholar, it might open the doors a little bit for you, depending on what you're going to do, right? Because faculty they're aware of this scholarship. And in the past, because we do have a faculty advisor per se that kind of helps the students apply, we've had a very good win rate for Cal State Fullerton. So I think we've received probably in total in recent years, probably maybe 15 to 20 students received it, which is very, very high. Some schools only get like maybe 3 of their students get it, 2. Just put into context.
So another kind of program that we have here is the Chancellor's Doctoral Incentive Program. So this one, the what I've seen in terms of the amount, I've seen it go from 10 to 30,000. So this is a loan that you get, however. So this is something that you'll get a loan as you go into a doctoral program. So again, once you're done here and let's say you plan to go get your PhD or something like that after this, this is something that we suggest you apply to, because then the money you get as a loan will be forgiven, or at least some of it, I believe, will be forgiven each year after you completed your doctoral program. Once you've been hired on as a faculty somewhere, then they can forgive some of that money. So again, that can range from 10 to 30,000. I've seen. So again, that's.
So it's It's kind of like a loan program. The one before this one is when you're still basically searching for a PhD school, right? You can get those $3,000 for you to travel, see if it's a good fit for you. Maybe it is, maybe it wasn't. You can strike it off your list, right? Now for this one, you have to be admitted into a PhD program, right? Not at the time that you apply, but for you to get it, you have to be in a PhD program already. It loans you up to $10,000 a year for 3 years. So that's why it goes up to $30,000, right? But when you come back, both of these programs are trying to diversify faculty in the CSU system, right? So that we have faculty members that look more like you and I, right? Not so white, basically, right? To put it frank. And once you're teaching, it gets paid back. So if you're teaching full time, you could get a 20% feedback every year. So eventually you get forgiven completely, right? If you only land maybe a part-time gig, right? Teaching part-time, it gets paid back 10% every year. Again, eventually if you work long enough, it gets paid off completely, right? And just like graduate degrees, the funding's a lot less. PhD programs sometimes less funding for like outside resources. Most of the time, students that are going into school is because they're hiring him or her as a teaching assistant, research assistant, and they're giving them a stipend to pay their tuition. It does get harder to secure funding, a little bit harder.
So for this one, similar to the other ones, requires some kind of personal statement, some kind of action plan, and a faculty sponsor. And the deadline, again, will be around mid-February for this one. This one, I believe it has to be, the last approval is the actual chancellor who has to approve this.
Yeah. So we both of these actually, since they're, from the chancellor's office, which is the organization, the body that governs the CSU system, right? They actually regulate these, and we actually, if you're interested, you contact us, and then Sonia from OGS will open up the application for you. So we kind of pre-screen these applications. Like I said, they are a little bit prestigious.
In terms of other scholarships that you can find that we haven't mentioned just through Cal State Fullerton, if you go through your student portal, it has changed recently, so this is the best kind of visual we could give you. When you go to your portal, if you go to the site, to the search bar, search scholarships, and it'll take you to the link where you can find out more about other scholarships going on. Yeah,
that one is a university-wide, right? So a lot of undergrads, this is where they get directed. They're looking for scholarships. There might be some grad scholarships available, right? A lot of the people that donate to Fullerton or have scholarships in their names, right? Their alumni or whatever, they all get, put into that kind of, I guess you can call it a bank or something, right? But the neat thing about this is that once you fill out this application online, and it's very involved, it's going to ask you like a lot of questions. But the reason it's doing that is because it's going to put you up for the scholarships that you qualify for. You're not going to be able to pick them. It just automatically puts you up for all the scholarships that you might be eligible for. If you get awarded, then you probably get an email or they'll contact you or something like that. But fill out the scholarship application and submit, and you're done, basically, right? Get for multiple scholarships.
We do mention some off-campus scholarships. So like we kind of separated, so grants that are specifically kind of geared towards minority students. I have different organizations here, so there's not, a lot of these don't have just one grant or scholarship. I would say take a look if you feel like you qualify for some of these. There's some more towards like Latino population, some for women. If you look within them, you can see they offer a variety of different grants for graduate students. Some, I believe, also like will be geared just if you're in social work, if you're in counseling. There's definitely scholarships that you can apply for more in your field. The Fulbright grants are those of you interested in going more international with some of your ideas and some of your work. So that's one of the more prestigious grants as well that you can apply for. In terms of searching for them, like we said, you can go through our Tied and Connected student portal. There's also a couple different other sites, or a few different other sites that you can go to that can give you a variety of different scholarships that are available outside of Cal State Fullerton. Even if you're here, of course, you can still take a look at them and see if any of them apply for you. The U.S. Department of Labor typically has different ones that you can look into, Grad and Peterson's. again, I took a look at some of them, and I think there's a lot there, especially for those in the healthy profession or the healthy field. They have a lot to offer in terms of are you looking towards social work, are you looking towards counseling, psychology? So there's definitely a lot that you can find on there. So take a look at them when you get a chance if you're interested.
And they get this presentation. They have access to this.
We'll go over the assistantship opportunities. So Luis had mentioned in his kind of Venn diagram that some of the things that you could do as a grad student is be an assistant, whether that's a grad assistant, whether that's a teaching assistant, or I think RAs too. I think RAs, you can apply for RA jobs. So this is, as a graduate student, you can work up to 20 hours during your semester. Really, even like summertime when you're not in school, you can work more hours. But this can range. So this can range. I know when I was a grad student, I had like 2 grad assistantships, 1 TA shift. Luis, I believe you had a GA shift. We worked together, so
Yeah.
we had a GA shift. So the duties you do can be a little different. As a GA, they tend to be more administrative. Sometimes you work for an office. You know, we'll send out emails throughout the semester for different opportunities we've seen on campus. I know recently, like Disability Services was looking for someone. And again, it's kind of more office work for the most part versus the TA shift where you're actually teaching or at least assisting with teaching. I know some students have actually teach a class. So, but it's usually like a general ed class, one of those like Psych 101 type of classes that you can help teach. As when I was a TA, I helped the teacher when it comes to doing study sessions, having office hours for students. So there's different duties you can do as a TA shifts as well. So again, you can do up to 20 hours. In terms of how you get these, you can get them in different ways. So you can look through the Career Center, you can look at some of the postings that we have for these opportunities. For me, it was through my thesis advisor. So she, part of the psych department, she kind of helped me out whenever there's an opportunity for some kind of things. I would say look within your own department as well, with some of the faculty that you have contact with to see if they have anything available for either a TA or a GA shift. You can look through, so we kind of give a list: Career Center, Program Advisor, Department Chair, College Dean, individual colleges, your department, your faculty, off the grad city. So you can find them pretty much, they're there, but it's just finding that opportunity to get that GA shift or PA shift.
This just stresses more of what I said about developing those relationships, right, with faculty and staff, especially for those that are hoping to secure a GA shift or a teaching assistantship. You need to be talking to your faculty, staff, right? Connect with them, because the Career Center has a system for it, like an online application or something of the sort, but not everything gets sent to them. Either Jeanette and I sometimes get an email, the department's looking for GAs, looking for recommendations, stuff like that. So you should probably keep in touch with us too, if you're looking for something like that, because like I said, they're not all in just one place listed, right? That'd be nice. And SOAR is working on something, hopefully to help with this, with listing the GA shifts and the transparency of hiring, GAs and TAs and stuff like that. But right now it's just in the development stages. So just like I said, make relationships, talk to people.
So key points, just overall for the overall presentation, is to, like Lisa said earlier, make sure that you apply for FAFSA every year. Just because you did it this past year doesn't mean you'll keep getting it for the rest of your program. So make sure you apply for that by March 2nd. And check your student portal frequently to see about any updates or recent information. For the funding options, such as our scholarships, make sure you do your research early. Again, like we're saying, some of these scholarships, you have to apply by April, May, February. So keep those dates in mind. So okay, I need to make sure I apply for that. Because, if you miss a date, then you can't get that funding. And it's free money, so it's just, you definitely don't want to miss that. Follow up with the financial aid office and scholarship departments. Of course, if you apply for something, make sure you follow up with that. Or follow up with us if you have.
It's my fault there. Apply every year, but a deadline. Duh, right? It just means to just plan ahead. Plan ahead. Look now. Scholarships that we went over, right? They have kind of an estimate of when the deadline is. Put it in your calendar. You're gonna need to prepare for it. Right? You're not gonna apply the week prior, right? You're not gonna ask the teacher for a letter of rec with a week to go, right? So that's definitely.
And follow up with us again. Like we're available here if you have some more questions. We're regarding anything we talked about, whether it's the, financial aid stuff, the other scholarships or the staff stuff, follow up with us, or we can,
And then your student portal, that's important just because sometimes, especially during this time, I think you guys are all good. So, but sometimes they'll flag, there'll be a little flag and something's missing, right? Or they lost something and you use it to admission records or else you're gonna drop from your classes and all that, craziness. So that's why it's important to look at your student portal. Every time you get a little flag, look at what it says, what it's requiring, and just put it into that. All right.
Questions for the presentation?
Got sometimes questions. Is anybody looking to work, be a GA, stuff like that? TA? No? Everyone's just gonna go to school.
Any questions?
You guys need to work on your relationships.
Or is there currently any positions that you know?
Recently, I know we had sent out one for disability services, but I got an email from a student saying she got hired, so I'm not sure if they're looking for anyone else.
Some of the arts.
Some from arts, I think humanities, I've heard.
So if you're interested, since it seems like you're the only one,